Hare Krishna. Bhagavad Gita class, chapter 7, verse 23. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhav Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Paribrajakachaja Astotara Sata Shri Srimad Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Sila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Primsaka Ho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Bhagavad Gita. Welcome to the Gita class. Today we will do chapter 7, verse 23. Antavatu palam tesham tad bhavati alpamedasham devan deva yajo yanti mad bhakta yanti mamapi. Antavatu palam tesham tad bhavati alpamedasham devan deva yajo yanti mad bhakta yanti mamapi. Antavatu palam tesham tad bhavati atmamedasham deva deva yajo yanti mad bhakta yanti mamapi. Antavatu, limited and temporary. Palam, fruits. Tesham, there. Tat that. Bhavati, becomes. Alpamedasham, all those of small intelligence. Devam, demigods, planets. Devayajaha, worshippers of demigods. Yanti, achieve. Mat, my. Bhakta, devotees. Yanti, attain. Mam, unto me. Api, surely. Translation. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Prabhupada. Some commentators on the Gita say that one who worships a demigod can reach the Supreme Lord. But here it is clearly stated that the worshippers of demigods go to the different planetary systems where various demigods are situated, just as a worshipper of the sun achieves the sun, or a worshipper of the demigod of the moon achieves the moon. Similarly, if anyone wants to worship a demigod like Indra, he can attain that particular God's planet. It is not that everyone, regardless of whatever demigod they worship, will reach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is denied here, for it is clearly stated that the worshippers of the demigods go to different planets in the material world, but the devotee of the Supreme Lord goes directly to the Supreme Planet of the Personality of Godhead. Here the point may be raised that if the demigods are the different parts of the body of the Supreme Lord, then the same end should be achieved by worshipping them. However, worshippers of the demigods are less intelligent because they do not know to what part of the body food must be supplied. Some of them are so foolish that they claim that there are many parts and many ways to supply food. This isn't very sanguine. Can anyone supply food to the body through the ears or the eyes? They do not know that these demigods are different parts of the universal body of the Supreme Lord, and in their ignorance they believe that each and every demigod is a separate God and a competitor of the Supreme Lord. Not only are the demigods parts of the Supreme Lord, but ordinary living beings, entities, are also so. In the Srimad Bhagavatam it is stated that the Brahmanas are the head of the Supreme Lord, the Kshatriyas are the arms, etc., and that all serve different functions. Regardless of the situation, if one knows that both the demigods and himself are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, this knowledge is perfect. But if he does not understand this, he achieves different planets where the demigods reside. This is not the same destiny. This is not the same destination as the devotee reaches. The results achieved by the demigods' benedictions are perishable, because within this material world, the planets, the demigods, and their worshippers are all perishable. Therefore, it is clearly stated in this verse that all results achieved by worshipping demigods are perishable, and therefore a pure devotee, and therefore such worship is performed by the less intelligent living entity. Because the pure devotee engaged in Krishna consciousness in devotional service of the Supreme Lord achieves eternal blissful life that is full of knowledge, his achievements and those of the common worshipper of the demigods are different. The Supreme Lord is unlimited. His favor is unlimited. His mercy is unlimited. Therefore, by the mercy of the Supreme Lord upon his pure devotee, it is also unlimited. Antavat tu palam te sham, yad bhavati alpameda sham, devan deva yajo yanti, mad bhakta yanti mamapi. So this is another important verse from Lord Krishna, and it directly defeats the philosophy that whatever you do, whatever way you want to worship, you will reach the same destination. But that is not a fact. That is a very popular mantra in Bengal, Yatomat Tatopat. Whatever your mind, Yatomat, whatever mentality you have in your mind, Tatopath, that is the path. That is your path. But as Prabhupada explained, that's like going to the ticket office in Bombay and buying a ticket for Delhi and expecting to reach Calcutta. It doesn't work like that. You have to buy a ticket for the proper destination. If you buy a ticket for the destination to Krishna, you will reach Krishna. And if you buy a ticket for the destination of the demigod, you will reach that demigod's abode. Now, what is the difference between reaching Krishna and reaching the demigods? The difference is that Krishna is unique. He is above the demigods. Ekala Ishvara Krishna Ar Shabhrita. Krishna is the only controller, is the supreme controller of everyone. Jare Jeche Nachai Se Teche Koranitra. As he wants everybody to dance, everybody dances. So both the demigods and the living entities are being pulled by the strings of Krishna. The difference is that Krishna is eternal, he is the origin, we come from him, and we will become fully satisfied only when we reach him again, because that is our natural position, or we remain in a material world under the illusion of the modes of material nature. What are these modes of material nature? Sattva-gun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. These are very, very powerful energy, and these three energies mixed together: goodness, passion, and ignorance. Goodness means that I practice to elevate myself from the material position. Goodness means that I act in such a way that there is only good result. Passion means that I allow my senses to drag me into activities which may or may not be beneficial for me. And tamoguna, or the energy of ignorance, means that I don't know even how to act. I don't know how to take care of myself. I don't know what to eat. I don't know what to drink. I don't know how to deal with the material world or the spiritual world. I am in ignorance. And these three gunas, or these three very powerful energies, they mix together and create unlimited varieties of desires. And the desires create unlimited varieties of actions. And the actions create unlimited varieties of reactions. And all these action and reaction, if they are not connected with the source, Krishna, they remain within the material world. Only Krishna is beyond the material world. All the demigods are also agents of Krishna, but they are normal living entities living in the material world. You and I, we can become demigods. For example, if you follow very strictly all the rules of Varna and Ashrama. Varna and Ashrama is the actual religion of India. The religion of India is not Hinduism. It is Varna Ashrama Dharma, or Bhagavad Dharma. Varna Ashrama means that you divide the society according to the nature of the people living in that society. You don't put people in a position which is beyond their competence. So one who practices the Varna and Ashramas, in other words, who follows the process of Varna, meaning according to his quality and nature, he is placed either as a Brahmana, Vaishya, Kshatriya, or Shudra. He is either a teacher, an administrator, mercantile man, or a worker. And ashram means that within these varnas, one tries to become a brahmachari, grihastha, vanaprastha, and sannyas. In other words, especially the higher classes, the Vaishya, Kshatriyas, and Brahmanas, or especially the Kshatriyas and Brahmanas, are advised to leave home at the age of 50 and enter into the forest and practice austerities for spiritual advancement. So the austerities that are performed to acquire spiritual knowledge, these are called the ashrams. So one who practices the system of Varna and Ashrama perfectly for 100 births, he can be promoted to the post of Brahma in a future life. So it is possible to become a very powerful demigod by worshipping Krishna and following the instructions of the Vedas. But there is one problem with all activities connected with the demigods. And Krishna explains in this verse 23 of the 7th chapter, Antavat tu palam te sham yad bhavati alpamedasham. Tu, however, Krishna says, tu means however, antavat, they are temporary, palam te sham, the fruits of these activities, the fruit of activities within the material universe controlled by the demigods, or antavat, they have a beginning and an end. They are temporary. Tad bhavati alpamedasham. One who is alpamedasham, medha means intelligence, and alpa means little. One who is of little intelligence, he becomes attracted to these temporary fruits. I was thinking today that actually nobody believes in death. That was the main, this is one of the main, how do I say? One of the main realities of the material world in which we're living is that none of us think we're going to die. The illusion is so deep that even we see that people around us are dying all the time. Our ancestors have died, our parents die, even our contemporaries die, even the juniors die. There is no guarantee how long we're going to live, but we all think we're going to live forever. And we think that whatever facilities we have made in a material arrangement, that will protect us. But it doesn't work like that. Dehapatya kalatradishu atma shaineshu asatsu api. Api, despite the fact that our family, deha, our body, apatya, our children, kalatra, our spouses, our wives, adishu, beginning with all this, beginning with body, children, wife, family, business, house, land, animals, wealth, all these things are created by us thinking that they will give us pleasure, they will give us permanence, they will give us shelter. But asatsu api, they are asatsu, they are temporary. Api, even though we know they are temporary, even though that we are born with nothing and we live with nothing, even though we cannot take even 1 cent with us when we die, still we think that these things will protect us. These become our soldiers. Atma Saineshu. Saineshu means a soldier. Why do you have soldiers? To protect yourself. And what do you protect? Atma, the body and mind. I am thinking that these soldiers that I've created around me, my money, my family, my material achievements, I am thinking that these soldiers will protect me. But asatsu api, they are temporary. They cannot protect us. You can have billions and billions of dollars, but when the moment comes of dying, you cannot take 1 cent with you. Even we see in ancient civilizations, in Egypt, when they would bury the king or the queen, they would put so many things in the burial chamber, money, jewels, honey, all these things, thinking that these things will help him on his journey after death. But thousands and thousands of years later, when the present day archaeologists have excavated these tombs, the body is rotten, the soul is gone, but the money, the gold, the jewels, even the honey is still there. They could not take it with them. So, asatsu api, they are temporary. Tesham pramatma nidanam pashan api na pashyasi. This is an instruction given by Sukadeva Goswami to the emperor of the world, Parikshit Maharaj, who was a great king, very powerful king, but he resigned his kingdom waiting for the moment of death as he was cursed. And while he was waiting for the moment of death, he chose to hear from this sage, Sukadeva Goswami. And Sukadeva Goswami is saying that becoming attached to the kingdom of the demigods, Tesham Pramatna Nidanam, they become crazy when we allow our senses to act in an unrestricted way. We become mad. In other words, the senses take over our life. Instead of the life within us, the soul, taking control of the senses, we allow the senses to take control of us. And the result is nidhanam. We go down because we will die. We will take another birth. It is not finished to the moment of death. So tesham pramatma. Pramatma means you become crazy from the activities of the senses. They never stop. Tesham pramatma, they make you crazy, nidanam, and they drag you down to a lower species of life. Pashyan api na pashyati. Notwithstanding this very clear philosophical understanding of looking at the truth, Pashyan, even though we can see that what I'm saying is the truth, na pashyati, they don't see, because they allow the senses to take control. So, the whole idea of spiritual life is to go beyond the senses. Therefore, I keep repeating again and again that the process of spiritual advancement is to control the senses. And the easiest and best way to control the senses is to chant the names of God, to hear about God, to repeat His name, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Shakyam, Atmanivedanam. So these are wonderful. These are 9 instructions. There is no shortage of instruction on how to overcome our conditioning in this material universe. There is no shortage of instructions of understanding that we are spirit soul and that the spirit never dies. In the Bhagavad Gita, in the beginning, in the 2nd chapter of the Gita, Krishna said to Arjuna, my dear friend, Natu eva aham jatu nasham, that neither you nor me will ever die. Nachaiva na bhavishya maha sarva vayam ataparam. That neither you nor all these kings will stop to exist. They have always existed, and in the future they will continue to exist. This is the basic, fundamental instruction of spiritual life, that we are not the body. Spiritual life doesn't mean to achieve a very nice family. Spiritual life doesn't mean to achieve some piety in some mundane church. No, spiritual life is to understand that we are spirit. The identification to the body, maybe I'm identifying as a Christian or a Muslim or a Hindu or a Buddhist. These are all temporary identification which have no real meaning in fact. The real fact is that we are spirit. And if we don't act as spiritual being, if we act for the satisfaction of the senses which are subtle, the mind, the intelligence, and the subtle senses, they will take us to another body. In other words, they will continue our existence, our residence in material life. When we purify the senses, and how do you purify the senses? You purify the senses by using them in connection with Krishna. I was speaking on Wednesday about the power of the tongue. And the tongue is very, very powerful. Tarme jiva ati lobomoya sururmati. It is very greedy and very difficult to control, very wicked. Tongue is very, very powerful. But if we take Krishna Prasad, we can actually purify the tongue, because when we take Krishna Prasad and when we speak about Krishna, then we connect to the Supreme Pure. We connect to the Eternal. We connect to something which is already there within our heart. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema. The love of God is already there within the heart. Simply by connecting with Krishna, beginning by hearing and eating and chanting, then we can purify ourselves from this misconception that we belong to this material world, that the purpose of life is to enjoy the material senses. Further along in the 9th chapter, Krishna says that whatever you do, you should do for me, because I am the origin of everything. Aham is sarva yajnanam bhoktacha prabhurevacha. Krishna says, I am the enjoyer and the master of all sacrifices, of everything you do. Natu mam abhijanati tatvenatas chavantite. One who doesn't understand this in truth, tatvenatas, what does it mean to understand that Krishna is the purpose of all sacrifice and all activities? What it means is that we perform all our activities for his pleasure. If Krishna is the yajnanam, or the enjoyer of our sacrifices, if we actually understand that, then we engage in activities meant to satisfy Krishna. If we don't do that, if we don't actually understand that in truth, then tatvenatas chyavantite, we fall down. Fall down means we become disconnected from Krishna. And becoming disconnected from Krishna means to continue our material life. Therefore, Krishna says, Yanti deva brata devan. Those who worship the demigods, they go to the demigods. Pitrin yati pritin vrataha. Those who worship the forefathers, they go to the forefathers. Bhutani yanti bhuteja. Those who worship ghosts, they go to the ghosts. Yanti madhyajino api mam. Api. However, those who worship me come to me. It is very, very simple. We have two choices. Either we worship God or we worship his energy. And because of our independence, we have the choice. And because of our independence, we have come into the material world. And we have achieved a material body because we have become averse to serving Krishna. We allow our senses to serve us. Good. So, if there are any questions, please make some comments. So I was speaking about Krishna telling us that whatever we do has a result. If we worship the demigods, we go to the demigods. If we worship the forefathers, we go to the forefathers. If we worship the spirits, we go to the spirits. But if we worship Krishna, we go to Krishna. So, buying a ticket for Krishna takes us for Krishna. You cannot buy a ticket for some demigod and expect to reach Krishna. It doesn't work like that. So Krishna says, it's not difficult. How is it difficult to reach Krishna? No. He says, just worship me something. Patram pushmam param toyam. Offer me some water, some leaf, some fruit. Do it with devotion. Do it with bhakti. Do it with a purified heart, and then I will accept. You cannot offer Krishna and expect some return. Because if you expect return, that return will come to you, but it may not be conducive for you to make spiritual progress. Don't waste your time worshiping Krishna for some material thing, because that material desire will fructify and will keep you within the material world. So Krishna says, Yat karoti yad ashnashi, yad juhosi dadasiyat. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever sacrifice you perform, yat tapasyasi konteya, whatever austerity you perform, tat kurushva madarpanam. Do that austerity, do that sacrifice, do that process of eating, but do it as a sacrifice for me. Why does Krishna say this? Krishna says this because he's our intimate friend. He is our father, our mother, our lover, our teacher. He's our master. We are connected only with him. Our connection with each other, including the demigods, is a temporary connection. That connection with each other is only real when we understand that each and every one of us is eternally connected with God. Each and every one of us is a spiritual soul. We are all brothers and sisters connected to the Supreme Father. That is the reality. Everything else is illusion, and it makes us crazy. Pramatma. Pramatma means identifying with the body. So Atmavidya Das, Jai Prabhu, Nandavas, he has a comment. Thank you for reminding us to put the tongue under control. Srila Prabhupada was always stressing that. Very practical. Take only prasadam and speak Hari Katha any chance we get. Yes, that's the first thing the Prabhupada introduced. When he came to America, his main preaching was the Mahaprasadam. That he used to cook this delicious food, Indian food. He would offer it to Krishna, and then we would eat it. That was the beginning, and he would speak about Krishna. So by attracting us with the tongue and with the ears, he was able to awaken in us our original relationship with Krishna. The great gift of the Krishna consciousness movement, which is beyond any religion. The great gift of the Krishna consciousness movement is that it actually wakes up our original identity. That awakening of the original identity is not so easily achieved. We don't see it in Christianity, Buddhism, Islam, or even Hinduism. We don't see it so easily. We see that people identify with the body, identify with their religious tradition. But Krishna consciousness is beyond that. For example, I'm a Christian. I was born a Catholic. I was trained as a Catholic. But the result of Krishna consciousness is not that I've become a Hindu. No. The result of my practice of Krishna consciousness is that I have become a good Christian. I'm actually following the spirit of Jesus Christ's teaching. And the spirit of Jesus Christ's teaching is to connect us to the Supreme Lord, not to the material world. Madhu Mangala Devidasi, Hare Krishna Mataji, regarding to death, in the introduction of the Bhagavad Gita, it says that if one dies when the superior authority have already decided the kind of body we are going to receive. Would you please elaborate more on that? Yes, we are controlled at every moment by these powerful demigods. All our senses, the tongue, the ears, the eyes, they're all controlled by certain demigods. The result of our material activities, part of that result goes to them also. In other words, we are being monitored at every moment. And according to the activity that we perform, these upper monitors, these demigods, they cause us to accept their situation. It's just like when I was a schoolboy, we made an ant colony. An ant colony is a big box where you put some earth and some water and some rocks and different things, some plants, and then you put ants there and you cover it with a glass. So you can see in this colony how the ants are operating, how they are getting food, how they are fighting with each other or cooperating with each other, how they live their lives. The ants, they have no idea that we have created the colony. They have no idea that we are watching them at every moment. They have no idea that their lives depends on our control. So in the same way, the demigods have created this universe under the direction of Krishna. And within this universe, the living entities on the earth planet, us, we are acting and causing action and reaction, and that action and that reaction, the results of our activities are given to us by the demigods. So when we come to the moment of death, the demigod, especially Yamaraj, he decides that because you have lived your life in such and such a way, now you come to the moment of death and your consciousness is in such and such a position, you will take a birth reflecting that consciousness. Now people may think, how is it possible that Yamaraj can judge billions and billions of living entities who are dying at every moment within this universe? But don't forget that Yamaraj is a very, very powerful demigod, and he is the son of the sun god. Just like at noon, if you go outside, the sun is shining on your head. But he's not just shining on my head, he's shining on everybody's head. Millions of people can be outside and all of them feel the sun on their head. So in the same way, millions of living entities may die, but each and every one of them is connected with Yamaraj, and Yamaraj decides the next birth. And that depends on our consciousness. Yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tyajati ante kalevaram tam tam eva hiti konteya sada tadbhava bhavita. So yam yam ante, at the moment of death, Tyajanti ante kalevaram, when you give up your body, kalevaram means body, tam tam, to that place, eva hiti, certainly, my dear Arjuna, sada tad bhava bhavita. Whatever your nature is, you will go to that nature. So when we come, all of us have a certain nature inside. And sometimes it is difficult to see that nature because we perform external activities to hide that nature. We always put our best foot forward. We don't put our insecurities, our anger, our greed, our bad side. We don't allow that to come out. Nobody can see that. But the demigods, they can see that. So at the moment of death, whatever we are really like cannot be faked, because the demigod knows, and he will put us into a body exactly corresponding that nature. And if that nature is like an animal, if I'm at the moment of death, I have a nature like a wild animal, simply to kill others, to exploit others, to eat and enjoy and forget about God and spiritual life. I take birth as an animal, and from that position, I have to work my way back up to the human being. Good. Any other questions? No? Thank you very much. We will see you again next Wednesday. And all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hari Bol.